Hey, what's up everyone? I'm sure you're wondering why you're looking at a generator with the cover off and some tools on the bottom. Well, I'm going to go over on how to adjust your generator. This is not going to be for an inverter. So you have an inverter, you probably don't have to worry about this. Inverters are pretty much done by themselves at the factory. But, over time, this style can definitely require a little additional, let's just call it tuning. So I had a previous video on repairing this generator, and when I was, maybe I'll throw a clip up real quick. When I was going through it, I got it running. It was running a little low. It was running about 59, 58.8 hertz with no load at all. How do you know that? Well, you can get one of these. It's a kilowatt. There's one that monitors like the voltage that you use, and there's also this type. Don't get the other one. The other way is you just get a multimeter, put it into one of the outlets, and continue on from there. As long as it has hertz and volts, it should be fine. Hertz is going to kind of correspond with the engine speed. You want it to be at least where I live. If you live, I believe, in like Australia, it's a little bit different. But where I live, normal electricity is about 60 hertz. With no load, we're going to want to bump that up a little bit, because when you put a load, it's going to sag. I personally put about at 61.5 hertz. That usually translates for this type to roughly 128, maybe 130 volts. But yet again, when you apply a load, it usually sags. And it goes down to probably like 125. That's a good healthy level. Ideally, it'd be closer down to 120. But this style usually runs a little high. I think what we are going to do, first things first, you have to get a reading. Let's go ahead, connect your kilowatt, connect your multimeter, turn it on, put a load. This is a 1500 watt load. This is a 3000 watt generator. It's 50%. You're going to want to do at least 50%. After you tested that, see what your numbers are. The concerning area is going to be this. For instance, this one, like I said, 59, 58.8 hertz. If I put a load on there, it's half, and it drops dramatically. That's bad. It means your engine's worn. Don't want that. Don't want a worn engine. It shouldn't drop more than a few hertz. If maybe more than one or two, the most. If it goes down to like 56, 55 even, you probably have engine problems. Enough jabbering. Next thing you know, what we're going to do first. Well, now we know it's running to either low or high. Somewhere on the machine there is a throttle adjustment. This one is the reason why we are having the cover off. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Probably not. The light's going to get us. See that little post with the spring on it? That post has to be moved back or forth to put more or less tension. So this one's going to be a little bit different. Usually they have a screw located somewhere, usually in the front, not on the carb. Don't mess with that one. Again, do not mess the one with the carb. Mess with the one that's somewhere by the governor setup. Now, if you're getting to a point where you're having to run that thing in all the way, you're going to want to look into getting a new spring, because that spring is probably worn. But if you still have a lot of travel left over in that screw, go ahead, unscrew it if it is too fast, screw it in if it's too low. What is too fast? If there's no load and you're pushing over 62 hertz, I would call that to be fast. I don't like anything above that. You could probably run it close to that. 61.5 is kind of sweet spot for me. And then 62, you're like I said, you're pushing it. Anything over that, though, I would definitely lower it. So, like I said, this one's about 59.0, 58.8. I'm going to bend that tab back, and we will go ahead and see what we have accomplished. But before we do that, I actually do just want to show you. I'm not going to insert a clip. When you do this, nothing should be on. It could be connected, but it shouldn't be on. That's bad. Never start a generator with a load. Weird. It's actually a little bit different than it was before. That's very peculiar. We might have engine work. I'll have to be beyond the scope of this. I'm going to bend it back and see if we do have work. There you have it. What you saw is pretty much the top end of what I would like to leave it at, but it's where it could be running very effectively. It dropped a little bit more than I was hoping. It did drop about 3 hertz, but I'm going to look into a little bit more of a engine tuning up. It might need one. I'm pretty sure it does actually need one, but it really didn't drop that much more. I mean, if it's going to go down to like 56, granted it was only 50% load, we're going to be on the scope. What we did was we put the correct power output. We want to make sure we don't have anything too high, too low. It's a quick little easy thing. That's why I wanted to make this. It's not something that you need to be afraid of, and it's peace of mind to know that if you are having anything wrong, that you corrected it. Imagine having your power go out. You connect this, next thing you know, because it's running too low or too high, it's causing problems with whatever you're connected to it, especially too high. Too high could be real bad, especially if you do something like sensitive electronics, computers, cell phones, which you should never really connect to this. It's a very dirty power. But if you do need to, rest assured that you've done everything you can to prevent any type of damage. I decided to take the air filter cover off. It's nothing wrong with it, but I'll change it anyway. But anyway, when doing this, you should have made sure that you're tuned up your engine beforehand, because you want to make sure it's good to go. So after you have a fully tuned up motor and you do this test and potential adjustment, go ahead and have peace of mind that you can run at least a few things off of it. This type of generator, in my opinion, is good for like heaters, refrigerators, something that's not going to be damaged by a dirty output, because it really isn't that great of an output. Let's just say I wouldn't long term, emergency, yes, use anything besides that. But moving forward, if you keep on following these little rules, you'll be able to have a good running generator in time of need, emergency, work, who knows. It's a quick little video, but if you follow these steps, you'll be able to take care of this little minor problem. Have a good evening. Follow me in Small Engine 101 on Instagram, and I'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget to subscribe.